hey, you know, I got into this whole automotive motorcycle thing by watching my dad and my brother work on cars in our driveway. And as teenagers, my brother and I worked on our cars in our yard and modified them in our yard. So I really love old cars and trucks and hot rods, and came from the car world. I didn't learn how to weld or fabricate until much later on. And my dad never knew how to do that. So my dad needs the passenger door fixed for his 1970 Chevrolet C-10 pickup truck. So watch how I fix this for him. Here's the inner repair panel that I'm gonna patch, but I'm gonna cut this short and drop below this interior panel because all the weld nuts for the interior door trim panel are here. And then I'm also gonna cut around this door hinge section because if I have to try and relocate this door's never gonna fit right. I mean, GM put it right where it needs to be. And for me to come in and try and replicate that would just be disastrous. You can already see the replica panel isn't even made the same way. The drop-in isn't even as deep. So I'm gonna cut around this and leave all this original stuff here. It's really solid in this section. So, and I'll just cut like right in here and patch this piece together. A lot of work, but worth doing. This outer skin is folded over the edge of the interior door skin, and it's spot welded. So all these little dimples are spot welds done at the factory. So getting the spot welds out is gonna be a pain in the butt. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna grind away this edge right here, and you'll see this edge is folded over, so it'll turn into the two pieces of metal. I'll be able to pull the outer skin off, and then I'm gonna have to come back in here, cut around each one of these spot welds to get the skin off, and then grind the spot welds away so I can fold my new skin over. It's kind of a lot of work. You'll see what I mean as I do it. I just grind through till I can start to see a split in the seam. There, you can see how it starts to split. there's the inside bottom door panel cut and fit. Notice right here, it doesn't fit right. It's not my cut. My cut's only off really in one spot, which is right here. I can correct that real easy by taking some material off of the original door inner panel, but I don't know if you can see the angle here on each corner. When this is pulled out of the dies, it flares out here too. The piece just isn't made right. It's not made to shape. It's too small, and it's just really not made right. If it was made right, it'd make my job a lot easier. What I got to do is I'm gonna have to massage it. Massage it means hammer it. That's what that means in sheet metal work. I'm gonna have to hammer it, stretch it out a little bit, and get it to fit. And then I'm gonna have to go back and retrim these edges to keep them square, because you can see the door's straight coming down the line the whole way from GM, and then all of a sudden this piece flares out on both sides. So I'm gonna have to go back, and it's really bad on this side. You see how straight the door is, and then all of a sudden, boom, it flares out. It's shrunken in here and it flares out here. So I'll go ahead and fix all that stuff and prep this stuff and get it ready to tack weld in. But I have to put the outer skin on it too, also to make sure that everything's gonna fit before I start welding. Take it all back apart, weld this piece in, and then go back and weld the skin on. And here I got the outer skin on it, and I got this inner skin kind of patched in. You see where I cut around and left the original hinge, bracket, and brace on the inside, just because if you move those things, you never get them back in the right spot. But there it is. It's patched in. It's not going to fit exactly right. First of all, the panel's not shaped right. It's missing some of these contours here. I'm going to have to, do a little influencing around in those areas. And you can see how it's cut short here. If you line it up with the front of the door, which this is upside down, so that's the front of the door. If you line the front of the door up, the back of the door, just simply put, doesn't fit. And if you can see the gap here, they're both black, but you see the gap here is probably almost a half an inch, 3/8 to a half an inch there. 5/16 to 3/8 of an inch along in here. It's just not made right. It slipped in the die when it was made, apparently, or else the dies are just junk. But I'm gonna have to probably take right here and cut a little strip out and move this whole section back and weld a strip in to make up the distance, because I can stretch this, but then nothing's gonna fit. This panel does not fit right at all. So what I have to do is kind of tack it in a little bit at a time and make it fit, pull it to fit. And I'm gonna use some of this welding heat to do so. So I'm gonna start in this corner right here. If I lay this piece down flat like it should be, none of this lines up at all. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna tack it down here on this seam first, because this is the edge of the door when you open it that you're gonna see. And this is the edge that needs to have the latch and everything else, and really needs to fit the best out of all of it. The rest of it's purely cosmetic. So I'll tighten this down. You can see how I have this shimmed up here to make that edge fit, because it's just not bent right. And I tried to hammer it and dolly it out a little bit, and it's just the way the stamping is made. And then I'll come back and work this end over here. But this is a lot of work. Probably would have been easier to buy another door, but I'm in it to win it, so I'm gonna get it. If I get that weld in the wrong spot, it messes everything up down the line, so I was pretty careful how I line this up. But now that I've got one in, I can kind of start to work everything around. I can hammer it a little bit. I can do what I need to do to make it fit right. I don't know if there's a proper term for this, but this isn't lined up right now. So I do a thing that I call pick and pull, where I'll get a screwdriver and pry these two panels to a level position, and then I'll clamp it and hold it, pick and pull my panel, and then clamp it down to where it's level. Now I'm gonna start to work down this top line and get this whole panel lined up, because if I made a mistake somewhere, I need to know now. I got that skin all tacked in on the door here. I'm getting ready to go back and fix this rear section. You see I got the front fit pretty good right in here. I still got the back pried up. And that's mainly because the skin has to be pulled up to it. What I've run into is this doesn't fit back here. This inner stamping is just too short by somewhere between 1/4 inch and 3/8 of an inch. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna cut directly down here and move this section down, and then just put a patch panel in here, which is a pain in the butt, but it's something I gotta do. You see how bad the fit is. And there's just no way for me to stretch this out. It's just gonna look horrible. So I don't really see a good remedy here, except to cut this and put a patch panel in. I just cut this piece off to fix this gap, so I'll move this down. You see there's about my 1/4 inch or so, 5/16 of gap that I have. And I'm just gonna make a little patch panel, weld it in behind there so that I can extend this down a little bit and get all this fit on this edge, and then I can start putting the outer skin on it and be done with this job. I cut a little strip off of this section of the inner door panel that I didn't use. So I cut a little strip. I'm gonna cut the paint off of it and slip it back behind here and use it as a backing to tack in so that I can cut another sliver to fill this gap. So this is a little bit of work, extra work I gotta do, but it's gotta be done. There's no way around it other than getting some door panels that fit, and these don't, so I'm gonna go ahead and make this work. I pulled the outer skin off to go ahead and weld this patch panel in. There it is. You can see there's a little strip. There's a lot of work getting it bent and getting it shaped and tacked in there and all fixed up, but now when I flip this over, I'm gonna have a good surface to weld to and be able to get that last panel in nice and straight. There's that little patch panel from the outside. See how nice that fits. You see how easy it's gonna make it for me to add this last little corner in here and get everything lined up right without having a huge gap to deal with. Well, I got everything tacked in. The lower inner panels tacked in. I got the outer skin clamped on. I'm gonna start hammering these edges over. I went ahead and pre-drilled the lip of the outer skin so that when I hammer it over, I can plug weld it. When this is hammered over, I'll be able to weld it to this surface. This whole job has been pretty difficult because of the way the skin is made and because of the way the inner panel is made. So let me see how this hammer operation goes. Just from rolling it over with my metal hammer, I got a little bit of a rough edge here. So I'm gonna go ahead and finish this edges out in the planishing hammer. It's gonna be a lot of work because this door is pretty heavy. I'll probably be pretty wore out after this, but it's something I gotta do. That's why your boy's staying on that weight pile. This is a lot of work. And now I'm just gonna go ahead and do all these plug welds on the holes I drilled in the skin, which is gonna weld the skin back to the inner door panel. Here's the old panels off my dad's truck door. See how rusty it was? The door was pretty rotted out too. The door skin wasn't that bad, but the inner panel was really bad. Here it is. Here's the new skin on it. You can see what I did inside. Patched it in as best I could. You know, body mans have to come in and float it out a little bit, but you know, it's a good usable door. Solid again, everything's lined up right. Should fit good. I'm gonna load it in my 37 Chevy and take it down to my dad.